Welcome back. I'm Sherry, and this is Quilts and Other Happy Accidents. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bob Ross. He said there are no mistakes, they're just happy accidents. Well, it seems like a lot of my quilts, well, honestly, they probably are accidents, but they didn't turn out well anyway. A great example of that is this quilt that I'm working on now. I wanted to make a simple 9-patch and snowball quilt. Now, we've all seen those. They're super simple. It's all straight lines. How hard can it be? Sure. And then it began to rain. So here's my first dilemma. I wanted this to be my feature fabric. This is pansies. And I bought this fabric for my husband because pansies are his favorite flower. And I've used it in a quilt. And like I've told you before, I usually buy a lot more fabric than I need because I don't have a really plan when I buy the fabric. So I just buy a bunch. Well, that's okay, but it also means you have a lot of fabric that you have to use over and over again or use up somehow. So that's where this focus fabric of the pansies started to come into play. But then I wanted to just see what fabrics I had that pulled the colors from this pansy. So here's some of the fabrics that I found. I had this beautiful red that pulled kind of the reds and oranges out of the pansies, and I really liked the way that looked. And I had this yellow, which is also a floral print, so it's a little busy, but it's a small print, so it looks pretty good compared to the pansy print. Now, if you ever want to make a simple block become difficult, just do what I do and start randomly and see what happens. Or you can just watch and I can tell you how I simplified this process. I use my design board a lot, and my design board was actually built by my husband eons ago. It's just a simple piece of wood that we covered with batting, and it's topped with felt. And we tacked and glued it on the back. So I've got this surface that is really easy for fabric to adhere to, just with a little static and a little pressure. And it works great, especially given my tendency to start without a plan. But that's okay. It all works out. So I found these two fabrics and I decided I wanted to make blocks. But then the decision comes, do you want the pansies on the corners or do you want the other fabric? So I made just some practice ones, doing it different ways on my design board. And ultimately, I decided I really liked the pansies on the border. Because when you think about that snowball block, when you add that piece on the side, you can kind of get a star pattern if you work it right. And I wanted it to really kind of pop out. So here's how I put my blocks together. So here are my two 9-patches. The next was to figure out what fabric to put for that, usually a white or a muslin or something that you can make your snowball blocks out of. So here I go back through my stash, and here's what I came up with. Now I've been trying to find a quilt to put this fabric in since the minute I bought it, and I just haven't found the right combination of fabrics. I think partly because it has such strong contrast in it. And you can see that when you put it up against these two kind of get overpowered by just this simple white fabric. But then I found this lovely blue on off-white, paisley and floral pattern. Let me show you what it looks like up close. It's kind of got that old-fashioned look to it with the paisleys and the flowers. And when I put it up against my 9-patches, my 9-patches become my focus fabric, and this becomes a better background fabric. Part of it is the color, part of it is the tone. So these are kind of bold tones, and this is kind of a medium tone, and it worked out really, really well. So The last thing was, how many blocks do I need? Because the charity that I donate these quilts to wants it to be twin size, which is roughly 65 by 88. Well, I had cut these so they're going to finish at 7 inches. So I had to calculate all this out and blah, blah, blah. And here's the trick. Because I'm alternating this block in between every one of these, I've added the number of blocks that I have here and the number of blocks I had here. I think I had 44 of each. But that means I need 88 snowball blocks, more or less. We'll see what we get when we put it together. So here we are. This is what I have so far. As you can see, some of my snowballs have the red corners. Some of them have the yellow corners. Some of them have the pansy corners. And what that enabled me to do was to create this great secondary pattern. Can you follow the 9 patches and how they zigzag down? And then you can follow the next reds and they zigzag down. It actually looks really cool. Really cool. Well, as you may have guessed, I've actually been working on this quilt for quite a while. I'm just now putting my last border on, and I want you to see how this turned out. It's amazing. Well, there it is. The last border piece is on. I'm going to press it and put it up on the design board so you can see it. See you in a second. I'm just getting the quilt up here on the design board. Now, usually, if you're just doing one block at a time, the static electricity between the flannel on my design board and the cotton really will hold it. But once you get this all put together, the weight means I have to put a few pins in it. Would you look at that? Isn't it fantastic? My friend Claire is absolutely going to love it. Remember, I was talking about the way I put the blocks together, the snowball blocks, so that 2 corners had the red and 2 corners had the yellow. When I did that, I discovered that the yellows made a pattern and the reds made a pattern. Do you see that? Isn't that just beautiful? Let me move the camera a little closer so you can really see how the inspiration fabric is still there. And it works. You see up here on the border, I've just put the border on that matches the snowball block because I really like the frame that it gives it. There's a beginning and an end, and I think that really helps a quilt. I put borders on, even small borders on almost all my quilts. So I've already selected the backing for this quilt. It's a generous lap size quilt. I'd have to remeasure it with the border on, but it's about 60 by 68. So it's a generous size, which will work really well. She has a favorite chair where she sits and ponders the mysteries of the world and spends time with her cat. Anyway, her birthday is the end of October, so I'm going to have to get really busy to get this quilted and bound and ready by the end of October. But certainly it's a labor of love, and I'm happy to do it. I think I'll take the camera with me when I give it to her. That'd be fun. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this program, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like. Have a wonderful day.